The reality of the situation is that he is going to a team that has a significantly worse quarterback position. So Russell Wilson, probably most people would agree right now, pretty much a top 10 quarterback. From a fantasy standpoint himself, he kind of teeters on being relevant, to be honest with you, in a lot of games. I mean, this past week he was really, really bad against the Cowboys. But the thing is that Russell Wilson has the physical abilities. We've seen him make some great throws. He has a big, big arm, and he can get the ball to Percy Harvin. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way in Seattle, and I don't really know what the situation is. I don't really understand why they haven't been able to get him the football. This past week, I think he caught 3 passes against the Cowboys for 0 yards, and then they ran him out of the backfield 3 times, and I believe he gained -1 yard. So in the entire game, 6 touches, -1 yard. Now, granted, Seattle's offense, it kind of goes game to game. You know, you have the really big games that they put up, and then they have the stinkers where they can barely struggle to get by the Rams or, whatever bad team that they're playing. And it really is an interesting situation because Percy Harvin, you would think, would be a major, major part of that offense. But he really hasn't been. Now, granted, last year he missed basically the entire season with an injury. Did end up playing in the Super Bowl. I think he played in like a half of football before that. But basically, he was irrelevant last year. So when he stepped onto the field this year, everybody was like, oh man, Russell Wilson's taking that next step forward. Now he's got a big name target in Percy Harvin. And it just really hasn't been that way. So when they do trade him now to the New York Jets, he's going to be playing with Geno Smith. Well, most likely Geno Smith anyway. Geno's struggled, although what I will say about Geno Smith is that despite the fact that his team lost this past Thursday night against the New England Patriots, that might have been one of the best times that we've ever seen him play. He looked very, very good in that game for the most part. Now, granted, he did have a couple plays where not so much. But still, at the end of the day, though, Geno Smith looked pretty good. You can see that he was making some advancements. You can see that he wasn't forcing the ball. I think I heard a stat that somebody said that was the first game that Geno Smith has ever lost in the NFL where he didn't throw an interception. So, he's making some improvements. Now that he does have a player like Percy Harvin in the offense, it should be very, very interesting to see how they end up using him. Now, because they traded for him, I actually have decent expectations here. I do believe that Percy Harvin is going to touch the ball 10 or more times per game for the New York Jets. Whereas when he was on the Seahawks, he was lucky to be touching it 5 times a game. I don't know what the situation is. I haven't really examined why he wasn't getting the ball in Seattle, but I do know that when you make a trade mid-season and you're a coach like Rex Ryan, who's kind of on the hot seat right now with the start that his team has had and the lack of success that they've had in recent years, you do need to make those blockbuster moves to try and save your job, and that's what he's doing here with Percy Harvin. I think that Rex Ryan is going to want to get the ball to Percy Harvin as often as possible. I do believe that they're going to use him a lot like Seattle did in terms of, lining him up at wide receiver. He's going to start for them. I can't imagine a situation where he wouldn't. He does have also a better option across from him with Eric Decker. Eric Decker is a borderline top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now. And to